CEO Bob Iger says Disney will use its capital to invest in a studio that will produce original content for its entertainment streaming bundle. The new SVOD platform will be the exclusive home in the US for live-action movies from Disney and Pixar. Disney also purchased a 75% stake in BAMTech to power its over-the-top streaming service for ESPN. BAMTech is a streaming technology provider that's a joint venture between Baseball Advanced Media, Disney, and the NHL. BAMTech currently powers streaming for a bunch of networks, including HBO, MLB, and NHL. Disney announced Tuesday that it's pouring in an additional $1.7 billion in order to become the majority stakeholder in the company, up from owning 33% stake, and will utilize the technology reimagine its direct-to-consumer relationship with a new data-based streaming platform for ESPN. Why the Netflix news matters. Iger says Disney is best positioned to succeed in today's chaotic media landscape if it can capitalize on consumers' close relationship to the brand. To do this, Disney needs to move its business model closer to consumers and cut out the distribution middleman that is Netflix. With a standalone streaming package, Disney will need to negotiate new distribution deals with multi-channel video programming distributor MVPD providers, like satellite providers and cable operators, although Iger says the company has not yet had these conversations. Why the BAMTech news matters. Disney has been behind some of its competitors in transitioning into a digital-first, direct-to-consumer business model. One of the biggest rivals of Disney's ABC, and from a sports perspective ESPN, CBS, has had a streaming network for nearly 3 years, and most of the major sports networks have been operating on streaming networks for years as well. BAMTech, which powered the MLB's streaming service, will give Disney access to a database platform that will transform the way Disney can sell ads, service content, and connect with consumers. What about other Disney assets, like Marvel and Star Wars? Unclear. Iger said they're working through the distribution rights and streaming opportunities associated with those two brands. Netflix announced yesterday its first acquisition ever, Millarworld, a comic producer, which could have something to do with the void that Disney pulling its Marvel content from its platform will create. Disney stock was down nearly 5% today in after-hours trading. The company reported a 23% loss in cable revenue, due in part to advertising declines and high programming costs at ESPN. Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price pushed back this afternoon on the recommendation from President Trump's Opioids Commission that a national emergency should be declared to deal with the crisis. At a briefing in Bedminster, NJ, Price told reporters that the White House believes it can be addressed without the declaration of an emergency, though all things are on the table for the president. Think Back. The commission, chaired by Chris Christie, recommended in its interim report last week that the White House declare a national emergency to facilitate a response. Why it matters. Neither President Trump nor Price or Kellyanne Conway, who briefed reporters this afternoon, laid out concrete steps to respond to the crisis, though they emphasized that the administration was taking it very seriously. President Trump and special counsel Robert Mueller have exchanged private messages. Trump's lawyer John Dowd told the USA Today appreciates what Bob Mueller is doing. He asked me to share that with him, and that's what I've done. Publicly, Trump has called Mueller's investigation a witch hunt, and said it would cross a line if Mueller were to investigate his finances. Something he is reportedly doing. But Dowd says Mueller won't be fired. That's never been on the table, never. It's a manifestation of the media. My dealings with Bob Mueller have always been cordial, respectful, the way it should be. Other findings in terms of racial diversity, the results are mixed. Wall Street has higher percentages of Black and Latino employees, but a much smaller percentage of Asian employees. Tech has more Latino and Asian employees in leadership positions than does Wall Street, which has a slightly higher percentage of Black employees in leadership. Methodology. Axios examined the most recent company-published data from the 6 largest American banks by market cap: Bank of America, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and Wells Fargo, and its 5 largest tech companies: Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Microsoft, with Uber also added for the sake of including a top startup. For gender breakdowns, we tried to use global numbers where available. Uber was the only included company that did not break out senior leadership demographics. President Trump attacked The Washington Post and The New York Times via Twitter today for what he views as the reluctance to cover the Phoenix tarmac meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch last June. The impetus Trump's tweet was spurred by the American Center for Law and Justice's release of FOIA-obtained emails from the Department of Justice and FBI, which the organization claims shows that both newspapers collaborated with the DOJ and FBI to bury the story. ALCJ's chief counsel is Trump's personal attorney, Jay Sekulow. Mitch McConnell has been hesitant to criticize President Trump, but he had some pointed words Monday while speaking in Florence. According to CNN affiliate WCPO, I think he had excessive expectations about how quickly things happen in the democratic process. Part of the reason I think people think we're underperforming is because of too many artificial deadlines unrelated to the reality of the legislature which may have not been understood. I've been and I will be again today not a fan of tweeting, and I've said that to him privately. I think it would be helpful if the president would be a little more on message. Trump told reporters Tuesday afternoon after reports surfaced that North Korea has successfully miniaturized a nuclear warhead that the North best not threaten the U.S. or else face fire and fury from the U.S. The full statement: North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. He has been very threatening beyond a normal state, and as I've said, they will be met with fire, fury, and frankly power, the likes of which this world has never seen before. Thank you, Trump. On North Korean threat, they will be met with fire, fury, and frankly power, the likes of which this world has never seen before. pic.twitter.com Uti to AQ2A Axios at Axios August 8, 2017. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon today told CNBC that he has no interest in trading in his Wall Street career for politics. No, I'm not stepping into the arena. Dimon also expanded on his recent comment about how it's almost embarrassing being an American, saying that his chagrin stems from the country's inability to do things like build new major airport hubs or agree on tax reform. I'm not criticizing Washington. I'm criticizing us collectively. We spend a lot of time slinging things at each other, making every decision like it's binary. We don't do enough analysis and planning, which I think is a good thing to sow. The manufacturing sector holds an important place in our political imagination. The common wisdom is that the nearly 30% decline in U.S. manufacturing jobs since 2000 was a key factor in Donald Trump's Rust Belt electoral success, for instance. A subtext of this idea is that these manufacturing jobs are desirable, and American workers would give them up easily. But according to analysts at the St. Louis Fed, the rate at which workers are quitting manufacturing jobs, rather than getting fired, has remained steady even as the number of jobs has fallen. Why it matters: the trend today is that manufacturing workers are quitting the jobs at an accelerating rate, suggesting they're leaving for better pay and working conditions in other fields. While the loss of manufacturing jobs has been devastating for many communities, it's also true that many workers will leave manufacturing if given the chance. Data Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis chart Andrew Witherspoon Axios.